Well, absolute garbage this week. The Esports Personality of the Year award at the Game Awards 2020. I wasn't even nominated. Can you believe that? It's an atrocity. It is an absolute disgrace. A schmozzle, some might even say.
Well, you have to actually play esports, like online multiplayer games, to qualify.
Oh, that's what esports are.
What did you think they were?
Excellent spontaneous programming of robotic teeth scrubbers.
Oh, dear.
The Gaming Lovers Podcast with Brendo and Jem.
G'day, and welcome to episode 123 of the Gaming Lovers Podcast. I'm Jem.
I'm Brendo.
With delusions of grandeur.
Well, one day I might get there. I may one day try the games that actually get you nominated for Esports Personality of the Year. I haven't played Fortnite. I haven't played League of Legends. What am I, an online gamer? Occasionally, but not in those games. We have had a big week, a big fortnight, really. We've been settling into our new consoles. Xbox Game Pass is back in full swing. It's like a gaming buffet here at the Gaming Lovers household. Mm-hmm. The Game Awards, one of our personal favourite events of the year, was also about 2 hours too long, but it was on this fortnight and it was rather enjoyable. Big awards given out. Big personalities there from Hollywood as well, strangely enough.
Yes.
And most importantly, big game announcements, two of which in particular may have raised the spirits of a certain somebody in this booth. Mm-hmm. It's you. It's Jem.
I feel like I'm stuck in this kind of relationship where I get let down, but no matter how many times I get let down, I'm still looking forward to the new promises that have been given.
That sounds like an abusive relationship, personally.
Yes, and BioWare, they have me hooked. Damn it.
And the best part about the Game Awards, we're going to get into those in much more detail later on, but there was only 3 musical performances, and at least 2 of them were pretty good. So, look forward to that. Shall we jump straight into gaming goals?
Yes, let's jump straight into that way we can get to the bread and butter of this episode of the Game Awards later on.
Or who's singing the intro?
I thought we were going to get the chick from Persona 5 to do it. Did you not
Lynn?
organise that?
Lynn? No, she didn't show up.
I guess you'll do.
Would it be offensive for me to attempt to sing gaming goals like Lynn would, who does the Persona 5 songs?
Go on, do it.
She sings English lyrics, but with a slight accent that half the time I don't even know what the words are she's saying until I read them in a printout.
I think if you're not mocking it, it's okay.
Gamer in goals! How's that?
And never again.
Well, 123 episodes. I'm never singing gaming goals ever again.
Not like that, at least.
That may be the single most embarrassing thing I've ever done on this podcast. And I've done plenty. Plenty! Would you like to start us off, dear? What gaming goals have you achieved? Did you do what you told everyone you would do last fortnight?
I don't know if I can't remember what I said last fortnight, to be honest.
You didn't even set goals.
No.
It's called gaming goals.
We've gotten slack, to be honest. Both of us have gotten slack in actually setting real goals of what we wanted to achieve. I keep using the whole I have a baby loophole. But I have played games, so things have been accomplished even without said goals, right? So I've been continuing playing Persona 5 Royal. I haven't made massive progress in that. There's always like a window between missions where there's a bit of story fluff, I guess, which is enjoyable, but you don't feel like you're necessarily
making
progress. Even if you are, even if you're ticking away days on the calendar, you're building up social links and stuff, and that's all very important. And because I made a crucial mistake a couple months back in the game, I'm kind of trying to recover from that as best I can.
Just like real life.
So aside from Persona 5 Royal, which, has been relegated to another room now because it's the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X have now got pride and place in the actual gaming room.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do play when I have just small snippets of time is on the Xbox. I've been playing Tetris Effect Connected. And on the PlayStation 5, I've been dabbling in Astro's Playroom as well as a bit of Bug Snacks. Haven't really touched them much, though, in the last fortnight.
It really has been a gaming buffet. We've just been taking a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and that breadstick looks nice, and I'll take a little bit of cantaloupe.
But the surprise dish is a bit of a return dish from the Game Pass, unleashing its December onslaught, I guess.
Oh boy.
Here is this smorgasbord of games, boom. And to be fair, for me anyway, there was only really one or two on there that kind of made me go, ooh, cool. And one of those was Greedfall, and we had that on the PlayStation, but now I get to get achievements for the same game. And yeah, it's kind of just what I remember as far as like it's fun, and it got that whole fun like RPG elements and good voice acting, although the lip syncing doesn't really match the voice acting, which is irritating if you're watching a cutscene and the mouths are kind of moving to their own beat of their own drum while the dialogue's going. But if you kind of just listen,
you just cross your eyes just a little bit so it goes out of focus.
You just turn it into a radio play. It can be really enjoyable because the voice acting is still top notch, I think, in that game. And I know I enjoyed the story last time, and I haven't replayed it since. So to be able to go in it and unlock more achievements again is fun, and it was free. So yay! And I think that pretty much sums up everything that I've done in the last fortnight.
Well, yes.
What about you?
Well, what have I been up to? I have been spreading myself far too thin in the gaming landscape. I have had not as many hours to play games as I would like in the past 2 weeks. But in the time I've had, I've decided to play about 12 different games. On the PlayStation 5, I've been downloading old PS4 games, putting in games that were on my backlog onto it. I've been downloading PS Plus freebies. I have just been absolutely ridiculous, like an unfocused child who has 12 toys in front of them and they can't sit still with one of them for more than 10 minutes, it seems. I have been playing Demon's Souls and making very little progress until yesterday, where I made some progress. Suddenly I feel like I've accomplished just a gigantic mountain of achievement. I defeated the Fool's Idol first time through. I have noticed, with the exception of one boss, which I kind of underestimated their attack range, I have beaten every boss on my first attempt thus far in Demon's Souls. Whether that's a reflection of my talent, no, or the game's relatively easier start compared to the other Souls games, I think that is accurate. But I have been enjoying it, and I've just gone to the Stormy Coast. The Storm Coast. No,
Inquisition?
That's Dragon Age. I don't know what it's actually called. I just went into it. It looks beautiful and depressing and stormy and glum, but slick as anything. And the skeletons scare me because they roll at me like they're Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh. A skeletal Sonic. That would be kind of disturbing, actually.
And they can move pretty quick when they roll, too. So that's where the parallel...
Well, if they're rolling around at the speed of sound, what do you expect?
Maybe not that fast, but I understand. I get that reference.
You were the one that made the comparison in the first place. I'm just following up on it.
I also decided this fortnight to download, included in the PlayStation Plus collection, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, and give Crash 1 a spin for about 6 levels until I tried to save my game, ended up accidentally loading my game, and I quit out of sadness because I lost 5 levels worth of progress. Then I discovered there was actually an autosave, so it wasn't all as silly as I thought it was. But still, why would you have the default option when you have a save and load page to be load? Don't you save more often than you load? Is that not a valid point?
That is true. I'd say.
Yeah, I think it's bad game design, and I give them a big thumbs down. No, It's fun. It's like reliving old memories. And a game that's similar to Crash Bandicoot on the Xbox Game Pass, just bouncing around everywhere, Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. I downloaded that on the Game Pass, and that has an interesting little dynamic where the final level is available straight out of the gates. But it is called the Impossible Lair for a reason, and the more other levels you complete, the more hits you can take through the final level.
Oh.
And so if you are skilled enough, if you're somebody with enough talent and natural ability in games, you could do what I attempted to do and take on the final level first go. And no, I failed miserably.
I'm sure there's someone out there that's done it and put it online.
I wasn't sure Yooka-Laylee would work so well as a 2D sort of side-scrolling platformer, but it's actually really good. And the small time I've played with that game, it's been wonderful. I also, if that's not enough, have been playing Spider-Man Miles Morales. We're back on the PS5 now, and been making progress in the main story after quite a bit of side mission action in that game to unlock new suits, new abilities, new friends that you meet. Someone just wants to have their photo taken with you. They put in a request to Spider-Man. That is an unwise. That's like calling an emergency phone line and distracting them from a real emergency. So whoever did that, Spider-Man should beat them up and web them to a wall.
Well, he's supposed to be the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, so that's got to live up to that part of the moniker as well.
He is friendly, and every time I play that game, I appreciate Miles Morales even more. Even more. I've also been playing Tetris Effect Connected, and I decided to try that out with headphones on, and man, it's like my brain was being tickled by sound. It was amazing. And graphically, it's amazing. And then we let Lady Nat try Tetris Effect, and she discovered about 3 buttons on the controller that did things that we didn't even realise. She zoomed the screen in weirdly and at a weird angle.
Tilted it strangely.
All you need is the D-pad and the A button. No.
Let me just mash all these other buttons and see what happens.
I'll just experiment.
I actually made my parents play it because my mum loved Tetris. Like, I would always watch her play Tetris on the computer growing up. So I'm like, yes, Mum will enjoy this. And, you know, once she gets used to having a controller in her hands, I'm sure she'll get it really into it. My dad ended up being the one that I think enjoyed it more and got the hang of it faster than she did. So it was just a really fascinating social experiment with my parents.
If that's not enough, I also had a very rough night a couple nights ago. Very poor sleep. I woke up very early, quite a bad mood, didn't know what I wanted to do, didn't know what I wanted to play. So I plucked Yakuza 6 off my shelf, installed it and started it. Just because I had nothing else that I was interested in doing. So I chose that, and the first hour is like cutscene. So I didn't even really play anything. It was actually quite perfect for a 6 a.m. delirious brain session. Very, very good.
There are times like that when I kind of want that for a game if I've got player 3 with me because I can kind of more just sit and watch and also like take care of him if he's like sooking or something. And games that require me to be like switched on the whole time and don't really allow for pausing are kind of very rare for me to even go near at the moment because it's just not conducive for the current environment that is the gaming lover's household. So it's changed the way that I play anyway. I don't know how much it's impacted you and the choices that you make when you go to sit down and play a game.
It certainly does, because now the main gaming time is in the evenings. And I have to go to bed earlier than I used to because I have a new job position. So life is different in many aspects. I'm still trying to juggle gaming with all my other responsibilities. However, I do have some time off coming up, so look out. I'm going to be sinking about 2 hours into my favourite video games because I have a baby to look after. Really quite a light gaming schedule. As we said, for this past fortnight. And part of that was because of the behemoth, the 4-hour, whatever it was, Game Awards ceremony that we enjoyed this week. And we'll be back after this with a full debrief of what happened during the Game Awards 2020.
You're listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. Want to join the conversation? visit thegaminglovers.com. Record your comment or question by clicking on the button on the right-hand side. And you could be featured in the next podcast.
Wait, go back to Gaming Goals. I forgot I also played a few levels of Donkey Kong Country 2 on the Nintendo Switch Online SNES emulator thingy, and so now that is Gaming Goals. Should we play the sweeper now? No, it's already been done. Never mind. The Game Awards 2020, Geoff Keighley back in action, and before we get anywhere in this, let's just say controversy follows that man when it comes to the Game Awards because
of his shoes?
that controversial choice indeed.
I mean, I applaud wearing those shoes with a suit, but at least have the color. From a color palette standpoint, if you're going to wear bright blue shoes, maybe not wear it with a dark black suit. That's just anyway. What
I was getting at is last year, Geoff Keighley showed up in Death Stranding. Death Stranding won a Game Award. This year, Geoff Keighley mask shows up in Among Us. And guess what won an award? Among Us. This is ridiculous. You can't just
maybe you
wiggle
can.
yourself in.
Well, maybe you can. He's the one who runs it.
Power has gone to that man's head. His two-dimensional, flat-faced head that is now in Among Us. But anyway, let's start off with the big point of discussion, because we're not going to tackle the Game of the Year award winner until the very end. But there was a popular vote poll put out.
Yes.
Where the people got to vote on what they thought. The player's voice. Mm-hmm. What did the player's voice think was Game of the Year? It was Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes.
Which did not win Game of the Year.
Yes.
So what does that mean for the gaming industry? Are the people wrong?
I don't think so. Obviously the Game Awards can have some fan votes, but they also take into consideration a lot of opinions from the gaming industry. Developers and studios get to throw their lot in as well, and it's kind of like the Academy, I guess, with the Oscars, where it's the peers voting for it. Yeah,
heads. I don't know.
Well, it's the Academy is not just old people that have worked in the industry for a long time, but it's fellow actors that get a vote as well. And sometimes the industry is a little bit skewed as to what they think, and they're not all, but sometimes they're right too, because they understand what goes into the process of making, whether it's the movie or a TV show or, in this case, video games, better than we do. You know, they get it, and so they want to reward games that have had so much poured into them, and they can see, from a technical standpoint, just what has really gone into a game and respect that.
Yep.
More than letting little things like personal opinions or, preferences maybe clouding some fans' judgment. I think that has come into it a little bit.
Well, look, I just wanted a quick answer so I could make a joke.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You went into a very serious point. But look, let's just say, controversial opinions. Some people liked The Last of Us Part 2, some people did not. But when it started to inch ahead in this player's voice poll, there's rumours that the poll was potentially hacked in something that's never happened in 2020 before when it comes to votes. Supposedly, the vote was hacked.
Trying to just hit everything today, aren't you?
So I'm just saying that The Last of Us, Naughty Dog are going to pursue this to the High Court. And I mean, they're the real winners of this player's voice poll, regardless of the fact that the Ghost of Tsushima has been announced as the award winner. So let's move on from that one.
Okay, I was not going to touch anything like that. You have poked the hornet's nest right there. Anyways, let's get into the pre-show stuff, because we were very excited, obviously, to see one of our favourite bands, I guess, from Persona 5, getting to play like a live, recorded in their studio version of La Surprise, but it's like a remix version for Persona 5 Strikers.
Mm-hmm.
The Scramble game, which is coming out, kind of like a direct sequel to Persona 5. So we're very, very excited for that to launch. And we were like singing along with that. And, you know, the Game Awards has always had its musical numbers, but I think they were kept a little more dialed down a bit, I guess, compared to other years, because they'd still had orchestras and stuff, but everything flowed a little bit better, I think, as far as those kind of special performances was concerned.
Yeah.
Anyways, very, very excited to see Lynn singing, and my goodness, she's just too cool. That's what I kept thinking watching her.
She is a cool chick.
Yes. So that for me was one of the highlights from the show. And as a very girly comment, Sydney Goodman, who is the pre-show host and also popped up on occasion to talk about Pokemon Go throughout the show.
From IGN?
Yes.
Whooper Watch, watch out, it's Whooper Watch time.
As annoying as maybe those little reminders were, her dress was amazing, and I just wanted to say that.
Fair enough.
Sometimes I gotta, let the girliness out. So there you go. That's shoehorned in. Now you can talk about games.
Well, there was an award for the best score/music given out during this pre-show as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the nominees for best score/soundtrack/music/ bopping your head to the tunes award. We had Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Hades, Doom Eternal, The Last of Us Part 2, all cracking good soundtracks, but none can compare to something that is several decades old at this point. Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Now, see, that's one thing that I'm like, yes, beautiful soundtrack, but it feels a little unfair to give it to something that is a rehash.
No, not a rehash, it's a remake.
But the music isn't.
No, it's not a remaster, it's a remake.
But if it's remixed music...
No, it's not remixed. It's a remake. You keep using words, and I love the fact that I've been able to swat those away like that. Listen to me. Some tracks have old compositions.
Yes.
But they are performed newly in different contexts, with different instruments, in different styles, in different genres. And there's new stuff too.
I don't know if it would win like if you lifted that and used that kind of logic for the Grammys. I don't know if it would qualify as new music. That's just, I don't know.
Has Glee won any awards for its performances?
But not as original music.
Sorry, I never said original. It just said best soundtrack. It doesn't have to be an original soundtrack. If the terminology says best soundtrack. Best old soundtrack. Doesn't matter. If you're going to argue, this is going to take an awfully long time to get through this podcast.
That was just one of my few things that I'm like, I don't know if I'm happy with that. But
we have had differing opinions on this through the entire history of this podcast. Any time it comes to awards, you think any remake should be disqualified because it was already made in some form.
It just feels unfair to something that's original. Anyways. So, the next category.
So, should Persona 5 Royal have been nominated for Best RPG? Because it's just an old game.
Well, it didn't win.
No, it didn't.
And I wouldn't have chosen it to win anyways.
Okay.
So, I love it. Yeah, anyways.
Well, this is going to take a while. Let's move on to the quick little Devolver Digital presentation they fabricated.
To announce their new game.
They announced many new games.
Yes.
By announcing it. The award was won by Loop Hero, a game that hadn't even been announced until today.
Yes.
So, excellent. That's going to win Game of the Award in 2020.
With their usual quirky sense of humour. So, a clever way to announce something, though.
We had Tchai, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Tchai, the New Caledonian game.
Very
shown.
interesting.
Bit of a Zelda-ish adventure.
Yes.
In New Caledonia, where I almost went once and didn't.
Can you speak French?
No.
Je suis désolé.
Best action/adventure game. Now, here's an interesting little trivia point that they actually told us about. The winner, for the past 4 years or something, of Best Action/Adventure Game has won the Game of the Year award because it is such a mainstream genre, I guess, and it is a very broad term as well, action, adventure. But would 2020 continue that streak? We won't find out until the end of this podcast, unless you watched the Game Awards, in which case you probably know. But the nominees who didn't win, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ghost of Tsushima, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Jedi, Fallen Order, and Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. And they all were stabbed in the throat by The Last of Us Part 2, very violently. It sold a lot. It was well received by critics, not so well received by fans of the series, and yet it still won Best Action Adventure.
Yes. Regardless of what you thought of the story, the graphics, the gameplay, all of that was still top notch.
The action was good, and so was the adventure. Next up, we had a little message from the almost fake German accent from Jo May from Sea of Solitude
She does
development
have
fame.
that's her accent. It's
I know.
not fake. Just because it sounds like someone putting it on doesn't mean it is.
It's just, it sounds like such a fabricated accent, but I love it. I wonder how the German populace enjoy that accent, because whenever we hear an Australian accent on a television show from America, it's always very...
It's jarring because it's so unusual, I think.
Well, anyway, Sea of Solitude's getting a full rework, and it will be released on Nintendo Switch in March the 4th next year. A game that was quite popular when it came to the Games for Impact division last year.
Yes, definitely.
What about the shady part of me? That looked interesting. It's like a side-scrolling platformer, but your shadow is independent of you.
It's very Peter Pan.
Oh, no. Not Peter Pan.
That darn shadow.
I did really like the art style on that too.
Yes. An interesting concept. So looking forward to seeing a little bit more about that.
Next up, the award for Best Family Game. Now, last year, Nintendo had all the nominees under their umbrella. There was not a single game in 2019 that came out that was acceptable for families that Nintendo did not make.
or at least that wasn't nominated anyways. But this year, though, we had some other contenders in there like Fall Guys, Crash Bandicoot, Minecraft Dungeons, so a couple that aren't under Nintendo's umbrella. But then you had Paper Mario, Mario Kart Live, and the winner, Animal Crossing New Horizons. My people.
Yeah, it's probably a safe pick, that one.
Yes.
Assassin's Creed was not a family-based game, but Animal Crossing was, and that's what I was trying to say when I started my sentence with A, and my brain just said Assassin's Creed. So...
AC, Animal Crossing.
Maybe that's why my brain just hit the Rolodex and went AC.
That could be a fun crossover.
It was the Google search in my brain. I'm feeling lucky, or whatever it is. It just automatically takes you there.
Isabel goes on a rampage.
Oh, no. Sinister.
Oh, dear. But I agree with that winning because it was kind of just the beacon of hope and light that 2020 needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's
light, fluffy, and
escaping
chill.
to, a remote island. I think many people wish that they could have done that for realsies. So, well done, you guys.
Definitely escapism.
Good timing.
That's for sure.
I think maybe that's another part of the reason why The Last of Us Part 2 wasn't as well received by fans, because it the timing of its launch sucked. We didn't need another really depressing story this year.
Everyone I know who has played it says it is literally the most depressing bit of media they have ever consumed.
So there's that.
There's also an award for Best Community Support for the games that constantly the developers kept giving back to the people, kept making adjustments, kept supporting the game after its release. And the winner of that was Fall Guys. No surprise there. Very well received. Lots of new content upgrades. Even games that are boring, like the memory match game, are now much more exciting because there's danger involved, not just, where's the cherry? And most importantly, they included a hammer called Big Yeetus. So how can you beat that?
They had Sonic skins.
Not Sonic
And they had
skins.
the Goose from Untitled Goose Game did a crossover too. So that's kind of been fun seeing all the different ones. And soon a Geoff Keighley skin to
Oh,
be
no
added.
doubt. That bloody Geoff Keighley. His fingers are in all the pies.
They should have done it sooner, then they would have won.
Yep.
Just kidding. The best debut game. Oh, I'm sorry, debut. Brendo does that a lot. So.
The best debut.
Was won by Phasmophobia. Am I saying that right?
Yes. Phasmophobia. First game made by a development studio and a viral sensation. That's what you want from your first game.
Yes.
Everyone knows about it. Everyone is playing it. Everyone's getting the pants scared off them by ghosts. That is a very fun game to watch. I don't know if I would enjoy it as much. I like scary games, but something about this game creeps me out to the extreme.
Is that the category that House Studios won with Untitled Goose Game last year?
Well, was it
'Cause
their debut game?
It technically wasn't, but they were still nominated for it.
Oh.
Because they had their first game was Push Me Pull You.
Well, don't tell anyone.
What?
You'll make
It's
enemies
common
with
knowledge. I'm just saying.
them. I wanted to interview them on this podcast before they became famous, and then they became famous, and now we're just a small-time thing.
It's too late. Their Melbourneites have become too good for us.
Couple more presentations and reveals. We got a VR fully immersive version of Myst coming, a game that came out like literally when I was a very small human. We've got the musical performance we talked about before. And then, don't forget, the very first gameplay debut of Nier Replicant version 1.22474487139. The actual name of the game.
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
What was it again?
Numbers.
I
Lots
love
of numbers. It almost reminded me of like trying to recite pi at first.
That's a remake of an older game, so it's not going to be eligible for any Game of the Year awards in 2021 when it launches in April 24th. Then we had a weird band. Oh, another musical performance. I forgot. There was 4, actually,
Yes.
because there was a virtual band playing a virtual song. OFK.
Did you enjoy the song?
It was catchy. I wanted to go in hating it because it was like pop.
Yes.
It was like
And
electro pop.
At first I was like, are we finally getting a teaser trailer for Chorus? Because that's going to be a musical game, but that was radio silent. No news on that front still. So I guess it's still too early in development to really be promoting it on any of those big platforms just yet. But I'm waiting for it, guys. I'm waiting for it. I'm very still pumped for that concept. But this looks like it might have elements of being a musical-ish video game. I mean, if you are playing as a band, there will be musical numbers.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, if only there was a game that you could play as a band in the past. A rock band, even.
That's different, though. That's different.
It's more immersive. There's more conflict with actual real-life people as well. So, hopefully, who knows, maybe your band members of people you bond with. I don't know. It's just one of those things that like, here's a performance from a new band. This is their debut song. And then there's not actually people. It's just not even holograms, just 3D models of musicians. Very strange. Very strange. I'd forgotten about that. The Esports Awards are next.
You're not bitter at all.
I didn't get nominated. League of Legends won Best Esports Game. Zonic, I believe,
One again.
was either nominated or won last year for Best Esports Coach. Then we had the Best Esports Event, relevant to the Best Esports Game, because it was the League of Legends World Championship 2020. Jokes. I hate some gamer tags. Stokes won Best Esports Host, and the G2 Esports took out the Best Esports Team. Now, esports, not our strong suit on this
No.
podcast.
Sorry,
Will be
guys.
the easiest, plainest statement ever made. However, as part of my research this week, I did a very planned and not at all spontaneous trip to Fortress Melbourne, which reopened very recently after opening amidst lockdown and then closing within a week.
Yeah, poor guys.
And I got to explore their premises. I got a tour. And I got to see the arena floor, which was very cool. I got to see the downstairs tavern.
It's very cool. It's very like Dungeons and Dragons.
D&D themed. There is a pixelated fireplace. You've got board games you can play, pinball machines. You've got streamer booths you can rent out. It's a pretty cool place. And I'm going to take you there one day, and we are going to drink out of tankards and call for the bard to sing us Toss a Coin to the Witcher, which was actually playing over the speakers there.
So that mean we can play Gwent?
Yes, we can indeed.
That's cool.
And that's our... Oh, no, we're not done with the esports, Def. Never mind. Because we also had Stephen A. Smith, a baseball... Me and my American sports. A basketball commentator announcing the winner of Best Esports Athlete, and Showmaker from Damn Wong Gaming took that out. Mm-hmm. A Korean won Best Esports Athlete.
It was kind of nice to see someone from the more athletic, I guess, elements of sports acknowledge that while they have been crippled basically in 2020, that esports has been going strong because they can go online, they can still compete. Mm-hmm. They've still been able to put on plenty of tournaments for people to enjoy, and more people have been discovering over the course of this year and last year, and I think respecting the industry more and more. This has been a big year, a deciding year, I think, to solidify just how relevant esports actually is. Yeah. And that it's not a joke. So it's been, I mean, you don't want a pandemic to have to kind of come in to wake some people up. But I think it has changed a lot of minds, and those that were cynical or those that were cut off from their favourite games have had to turn to something else. Yeah. So it's either that or pro wrestling, guys.
Who would watch that? Goodness.
Both of that. We're fans of both. So
there was next a gameplay reveal of Century Age of Ashes, which reminded me of like a head-to-head combat in a Panzer Dragoon saga style gameplay. You're riding a dragon. You're fighting other people who are riding dragons. I can't believe no one's ever done that before. It's just something that just seems like it would be an easy game
to make.
Yeah, to design, to think about. Mm-hmm. Why don't you ride a dragon into combat against another person who's riding a dragon? It's cool.
Well, technically they did do that in Fire Emblem, but you're more riding wyverns, which are like smaller types of dragons. Mm-hmm. But it still kind of counts.
Well, we've been talking for a while, and we're only through the pre-show. That was half an hour long compared to like the 3 hours of the main show. Yes. So we'll keep on going. Geoff Keighley then showed up in his amazing shoes that you loved. And
I think you're completely twisting my words there.
Okay. And then after that, Mario was murdered.
The meme, I think, of the night from the Game Awards, because the one winged angel skewered Mario in a very shocking debut. It's okay, kids. He only caught his overalls.
Yes.
And held him up by that. It was revealed. But my goodness, I think many a gaming fan has probably taken that screenshot of what looks like Mario being skewered and probably made that their new Facebook cover photo.
Sephiroth has arrived in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate this month. He's not there yet, but he's an impending doom on the world of Smash Brothers. Mm-hmm. It was a very amusing... That poor Mario has been through the absolute ringer in some of these reveals. Mm-hmm. But December 2020. Brie Larson then showed up.
Yes, and my goodness, it is kind of jarring for me, and I know I always think this at Oscars and stuff as well. You have such talented actors who then... sounds so wooden.
I would
when
like
they're
to
reading
congratulate
out
the world of video game acting and performances to announce the winner of Best Performance.
It's like I'm sure that they're just kind of going, yep, this is an easy, however much money they're getting for this appearance. to me, I'm like, as a voice actor, my job is to take a script and make it sound like it's not read, you know? And so when I hear people, especially those that are as accomplished as Brie Larson and the like, sound so wooden, it hurts. I'm like, come on, guys, you can put in a bit more effort than that.
But here is one of the awards that Gem is always interested in. Thankfully, it made it off the pre-show like it did last year. But best performance.
Yes. So the categories are always very competitive. From Ghost of Tsushima, you have Daisuke Tsuji, Logan Cunningham from Hades.
Yep.
And apologies if I mispronounce your name, Naji Jeddah.
Because he's listening.
Miles Morales. Well, there might be a super fan, and I'm always conscious. I'm like, I'm not entirely sure if I'm saying this correctly. Ashley Johnson from The Last of Us Part 2. And then the winner, Laura Bailey, Last of Us Part 2, from her performance as Abby, which is always jarring for me because she will always be Toru Honda from Fruits Basket.
Oh, what's Laura Bailey ever done for voice acting?
Just everything.
Just everything.
Yes. When it comes to, I think we've done that episode about voice actors, and, you know, we always think of like Nolan North and Troy Baker at the top for the guys, but, you know, Laura's definitely up there.
Oh, for sure.
As being quite prolific in the world of voice acting. And she's deserved on numerous occasions awards. So for me, it was either her or Ashley, because they both killed it. And I don't care if you hate the character. That just means she's done a fantastic job bringing her to life, you know. Yeah. And if you see some of the behind the scenes stuff too of what she did, like that scene of her getting stabbed and her acting that out in the voice booth, and that is just top-notch stuff. So love or hate the character, put that aside, respect the performance, well deserved. So, and everyone in that category is amazing, as always.
Yeah. Now, one strike against Laura Bailey is that she took far too long to deliver her acceptance speech. She felt like she was not going to end. It's like she likes hearing the sound of her own voice. Or we like hearing the sound of her voice.
Very much so. And I thought it was very cute. You could hear her phone going off as everyone's congratulating her.
Yeah, there was a couple of iMessage alerts.
At least you knew
through.
then that it was actually live. So there was some aspects. Some were clearly pre-recorded, but others were very much done live. So that was nice.
Yeah, we'll get to another one that was definitely, you could tell it was live. We'll get to that in a little bit. Next up, The Initiative, which is a studio under Microsoft's umbrella, are making a reboot of Perfect Dark. First point. It's a reboot, so it's not going to be eligible for any Game of the Year awards in the future.
You're mocking me.
And secondly, after Perfect Dark Zero, you guys have got a lot to prove before I get invested in one of my favourite games, Perfect Dark, being brought into the next generation. So I'm not going to even talk about that because I don't want to get my hopes up. Next up, we had a Left 4 Dead style game called Back 4 Blood, even formatted the same way. And it has 4-player co-op. Against zombies.
You won't be playing that with me.
It's basically Left 4 Dead again, in almost every single
like a spiritual
aspect.
successor, I guess. It sounds like some of the crew, like the team that were making those games, have kind of come together for this as well. So kind of heavily hinted at. It was nice to actually see a couple of developers and the like make it on stage in person, socially distanced, of course. Most people had pre-recorded things from their homes to send in, but that was one of the rare live appearances.
Yep. We saw another trailer for Hood, Outlaws and Legends, the medieval multiplayer heist game. And then Nintendo decided to show us a highlight reel of indies that are on their console, and there's nothing new about them, but it was kind of cool to see things like Untitled Goose Game, like Hades, which got a lot of nominations.
Yes, it did.
Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Overcooked, Overcooked 2.
You don't want it undercooked. If anything, it's always safer to be overcooked than undercooked, guys.
Stardew Valley and Cuphead. A lot of our favourite games listed in that little trailer, but I was expecting them to go, and joining them is... No, nothing.
It's like a Smash Bros. Review. Joining the indies fight is...
Next up was the award for Best Ongoing Game, and this is just a Lazarus-esque revival from the dead.
Yes.
Because No Man's Sky took that award, a game that was dead on arrival.
And the funniest part is you could see all of them live on Zoom, and the guy who was accepting it,
Sean Murray,
for No Man's Sky, was just swigging beer.
He was halfway through a swig when they announced he had won. He obviously didn't expect to win.
He nearly did a skit take.
That was absolutely hilarious. You could tell he was not ready to win that award.
No, he clearly thought Fortnite had won, and he said as much. He's like, how is it not Fortnite? It's always Fortnite. So that was kind of refreshing and very amusing to see.
Almost choked on his beer because he won a game award.
One of my favourite moments, I think, of the night, watching that acceptance and just laughing, because I noticed when they had them lined up in the small boxes, I'm like, hey, that guy's just drinking beer, and then they won.
Well, we'll be back after we go choke on a drink as well. We'll be back with more of the Game Awards 2020 after this.
Share the love. Follow us on Twitter at BrendoGem. That's BrendoJem.
No, wait. We have to go back. We have to go back to gaming goals. I forgot that I also downloaded on the Xbox Game Pass Control. Big game from last year, 2019's IGN Game of the Year.
But did you play it?
I played it for an hour. I don't know if I actually played it or I just hallucinated or had a fever dream. I have no idea what was going on in that game. I think my boss is like an upside down pyramid. Yeah, I have no idea. I think my gun is sentient. I'm not sure. So confused. I didn't even know if it was real actors or computer graphics at some point. I think I dreamt the whole thing, to be honest. Next up at the Game Awards 2020, we saw the Callisto Protocol, a game that Geoff Keighley announced as a title you're not expecting, and it's exciting because that's being made. It looked like Dead Space crossed with Alien. That's excitement for me.
For you.
Not for you.
Yeah.
Something I will say that I will proudly play and then be too chicken to do it until I get forced to do it in October sometime.
For creepy
For
month.
spooky month.
Yep.
Very cool. There's a Warhammer 40k Dark Tide gameplay clip shown off as well. And then we moved on to Best Art Direction, a award. I was very interested in seeing how that played out because I had a front runner. I had something I thought deserved to win, and it did. Ghost of Tsushima. Undisputed best art direction
For
this year.
sure. So beautiful. And I love that it had, the different modes as well. So you could make it look like a proper samurai movie.
Very cool.
So, of course, well deserved.
I saw colours in that game I didn't even know existed. It was amazing. And, of course, best art direction because you get to see Jin Sakai's butt as he hops in the hot springs.
Okay, then. Well, now we know what you look for in a video game.
Those butt graphics, I tell you. Best debut game graphics. Right there. Next up, best action game.
Okay.
Now, not action adventure, which has already been done. There's no slash here. It's just pure action. Supergiant Games won that with Hades, a game that's got a lot of praise, considering how, not to be offensive, but simplistic it looks graphically. The gameplay loop is what keeps people coming back. So, best action game, Hades. It's going to be added to my to-do list. I tell you what.
That backlog is just getting longer and longer. Best augmented reality or virtual reality game this year went to Half-Life Alyx, so no real surprise there.
If you've seen how well that game runs and how real it looks and the physics of the liquid inside of a bottle, unprecedented. The realism, I tell you. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2
What year is this?
took the title of Best Sports/Racing Game. I guess it's technically a bit of both. You've got a wheeled vehicle that you're riding around on, even if it is just a bit of fiberglass. But yes, should Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 have won because it's a remake? I don't know. And then we had the Most Anticipated Game Award, which was unsurprisingly, for me, won by Elden Ring, which really, it sort of has stayed very quiet. So I'm surprised it is the most anticipated, probably just because there hasn't been much news about it at all. The From Software title, co-written by George R.R. Martin. So, look, at least a lot of people die in a normal Dark Souls-style game, so that would not be a shock to anyone.
It was a moment in the awards show. I'm like, I don't even know what this game is. How could it be the most anticipated game when it's the only one on the list that I didn't know recognize what it was?
Well, it won by default because if Bugsnax had have launched 2 months later, it would have been Bugsnax. For sure. Most anticipated of the decade, let me tell you.
Well, for me, I think my most anticipated would have been Horizon Forbidden West. Or maybe some other games that we'll mention a little bit later that got teasers during the Game Awards. I won't get into that yet.
No, there'll be plenty of time for that.
Exactly.
Over the next 3 years.
While we wait.
Next up, we had a road trip with a woman and her mother in a beautifully drawn, cartoony style art.
2D animation.
It's called Open Roads.
Yep.
And that is by the Fulbright Company. It looks pretty neat.
And they're kind of digging into the grandmother's past.
Ooh.
So her mum's mum.
She's been up to mischief, I tell you.
Sounds like it, with a journal mentioning a man that is not her grandfather and digging around in that history. So that's about the gist of what we were given anyway. So As far as gameplay and that, not so much shown, just the premise.
Yep. Another cool little detail that was announced during this Game Awards ceremony is that Disco Elysium, the final cut, is coming. A game that I love RPGs. I love oddball spins on existing genres. And Disco Elysium is something that is definitely on my to-play list. But I tell you what, it's not going to be played by me until March 2021 because the final cut is coming out then, fully voice-acted, every single character, every single line of dialogue. And if you already own the game, it will be a free upgrade.
Ooh,
how good is that?
That's very nice. That's very rare. So
next up was some game called Dragon Age. We'll just move on to that. Then Amplitude Studios. No, let's go back. Jem is twitching in her seat right now. The next Dragon Age game.
Yes.
Got a more detailed trailer.
Interesting, though, that they didn't... Because last time it had Dragon Age #Dreadwolf Rises. And I don't know if that was just a promotional hashtag or kind of like a teaser of this is who the main antagonist is going to be this time around.
It sounds like a punk rock band, to be honest.
Dreadwolf Rises.
Yeah.
Maybe there will be. But you had Varric narrating... I think hinting that he might be a party member yet again.
Well, narrating is what he does best.
Well, very true.
Have you read Hard in Hightown?
You can. All the chapters were in the game, but I think they also published it too separately.
I almost bought you that as a gift one year.
Unless it's signed by Varric. Anyways, it showed snippets and it kind of hinted at where the next game's going to be set, which most of us Dragon Age fans kind of knew that it was going to be in Tevinter, so it pretty much all but confirmed that from the scenery, but it is nice to kind of see a little bit of the artistic style. It's still very cinematic-y trailers, so no even hint or sniff at real gameplay or character design or anything like that. So that to me says this game is still years away.
Well, the Game Awards show was hours long. This podcast is going to be hours long because we have so much to cover. So please, thank you for your self-control.
Yes.
We will break down this trailer and another one in great detail in a future episode, just so you can flex your BioWare muscle. And Amplitude Studios, they have a game called Endless Dungeon, and it looks pretty neat. Hopefully, there won't be a trophy for beating that game, because it might be endless. It's an action RPG, similar to Borderlands, looking high contrast, stylistic style.
Well, up next was Crimson Desert, which is a game from South Korea. And the graphics were just beautiful and crisp, and it looked very RPG, very kind of classical at first,
Yes.
very standard, and then it progressively got more insane. Well, not insane, but like
Fantasy-based.
just bigger and bigger and bigger kind of enemies, and yeah, because at first it just felt like, oh, look, lots of knights and other people, and the people looked really good, like really crisp facial animations, all very well done. It was I think the one thing that bugged me about this trailer was that there's clearly dialogue, but because it was just music, so you're just staring at someone that's like mouthing.
Maybe they were beatboxing.
No, I wanted to hear the dialogue. Get a hint at some of the story instead of just seeing the visuals, which were very pretty, but I get invested in good story.
In its defense, the dialogue may have been Korean.
That's true. Maybe they haven't dubbed it yet. I don't know. But it was enough to kind of be put on our radar of, yes, this looks like something that would be, I think, appealing to both of us.
Yep, I thought it was completely grounded in reality and history early on in that trailer. I thought it looks beautiful. It could be a bit of fun, but I don't know, it's just a bit bland. And then we started getting all sorts of strange creatures, and I was on board. Let me tell you, I'm visiting the Crimson Desert at some point. Best Narrative Award.
What a shock. The Last of Us Part 2.
Now, I have to agree. In Naughty Dog's defense, some people may think, no, that's ridiculous. I didn't like the story.
Just because you don't like a story doesn't mean it's not a good story. It's an interesting argument.
It was a spin on a narrative style that I haven't seen in games ever. If it is around, it's very rare.
Yeah.
The story they told, the way it was told. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the narrative.
To be able to evoke such strong emotions out of fans, good or bad, proves, regardless of whether you like it or not, that it's still good storytelling.
It's effective.
Yeah, effective, exactly.
Personally, no spoilers, but the ending is not what I predicted it would be. And I think that tainted my opinion of it. So I think a lot of people have that feeling. But if you remove your own prejudices and just absorb what it is, The Last of Us Part 2 had a cracking good narrative that made me just hate.
Devastating.
Just terrible.
An emotional, devastating story, but that's what they were going for.
And the only thing more depressing than The Last of Us Part 2 is the poor Swedish chef from the Muppets thought he won an award, but he didn't.
No.
This is the second year in a row the Muppets have infiltrated the Game Awards.
Yes, it is. And he made an award out of tinfoil. Oh, it was kind of funny. I do love the Swedish chef. I do also wonder what Swedes think of him, because I'm watching that and I'm just like, they probably hate this character, to be honest. I don't know. If you are Swedish, please tell us.
It could be very culturally offensive.
It probably is. But hey, there's many a bad caricature of Australians throughout cinematic history, and we tend to just laugh at them. So, I mean, everyone has, things that either make them amused or push that's too offensive line. I don't know where that falls. But sidetracked. I'm just very excited that you can play as the Swedish chef in Overcooked. He's going to be a new avatar.
He'll be serving up all you can eat in Overcooked All You Can Eat.
Yes. So, bad news for those who haven't been able to get their hands on a PlayStation 5 because it will only be able to play on the newest edition of the game. So, if you're
far as we know, that's how it was advertised during the Game Awards.
It only said PlayStation 5 logo, so we're going off that information. So, for those who are getting the all-you-can-eat Overcooked 1 and 2 bundle with the new stuff added, then yay, you get to get that free DLC of the Swedish chef. So I think that's kind of fun.
Very cool.
I think if I was playing, I'd just be like, as I'm cooking.
What Muppet will invade in 2021? We'll just have to wait and see.
Last year was Mika. This year is the Swedish chef. Who would you choose?
The old grumpy men.
Not Fozzie?
No.
Animal! Oh my goodness. What game would you mix with Animal? It's been all indie related recently. But I think animal and cyberpunk could be a really fun combination.
Some of the NPCs in Cyberpunk do look like animals, so it makes sense. Next up was some footage from the first season of Call of Duty Warzone, which featured explosions and gunshot. Really, what more do you want? Season. What did you think of Season? It was a very, very cool looking game, and I don't quite know what was going on.
It's more of that art style that has been very in vogue the last few years, of that cell shading kind of look. Recording sounds and kind of documenting things.
He was using a microphone on a dragonfly. Now, was he asking the dragonfly
doing an interview
questions? I don't understand, but games are amazing in the fact that you get a trailer with just some weird stuff in it, and you're like, ooh, I want to play that. I want to interview the dragonfly.
I'm sure as we get further along, we'll get a more in-depth trailer and the like, and a bit more story and everything else. Up next, though, Wonder Woman made an appearance. Gal Gadot introducing the nominees and announcing the winner for Games for Impact. And no surprise, tell me why, taking home that award.
No surprise? Why? Because it was a predictable winner. Tell me why.
I think it's very obvious, especially compared to no offense to the other nominees. But that was just a very standout, I think, clear cut.
Don't Nod and their episodic games.
Yes.
They can resonate with all sorts of people.
They always pack an emotional punch. And I think that's just, you have different studios that you kind of learn to expect certain things from. And I think that's becoming their reputation of really hitting you hard in the feels.
You know what else carries an emotional punch that hits you hard in the feels? Vin Diesel fighting dinosaurs. And we saw it.
You were worried at first because you're like, oh no, Vin Diesel has his own gaming studio, but they never release anything any good, is what you said. I'm just throwing you under the bus. So Vin Diesel, if you're listening,
no.
My husband doesn't like your games.
No.
But
King Vin Diesel in the jungle.
Fighting dinosaurs, saving a little girl that's just screaming at said dinosaurs. That sounds like me, really.
Yep. I didn't know where this was going, and it turned out to be Ark 2.
Yes.
Survival Evolved with Vin Diesel. And if we didn't think it could get any weirder, there's also going to be Ark, the animated series, with an absolutely nuts voice cast.
Yes. Oh my goodness, yes.
Vin Diesel.
Yes.
Is in it, so that's all you really need to know. But other lesser-known actors, not as good as Vin Diesel, such as Russell Crowe, David Tennant. Yeah. What is happening? Ark was just a survival game where people could goof around with robotics and dinosaurs and have fun.
Didn't we talk about this on a previous episode,
Absolutely
that a few
crazy.
Different games are being turned into like Netflix exclusives and things
for sure.
like that? They're realizing, this industry is outdoing us as far as money and stuff. We should be taking ideas from them.
I am kind of excited for the new Resident Evil Netflix show. It's going to be focused on Leon and Claire, Resident Evil 2 setting. I'm excited. And Sonic has landed a new Netflix show as well. So that won't be around for another 2 years or so. But look, Sonic's on the upswing. He's popular again. He has about 18 months to make the most of it before his popularity sinks again.
You never know. He might have a renaissance and hit a new golden age for Sonic. You don't know these things.
It's possible.
He may suck completely. That's very likely too. So next, of course, what else could you expect but Christmas themes for games always. They get updated on the regular, like Fall Guys, got to have a Christmas season. Some very cute outfits and avatars and skins and the like, whatever you want to call them.
Penguin, snowmen.
Yes.
Gingerbread puddings.
Some new levels and the like. So that got promoted, and I think part of me was just chuckling because I was watching this trailer remembering that the developers said that the Fall guys are actually giants.
Proportional.
Because people thought they were like these little mini things, right? And they're like, actually, they would be
3 meters tall.
And they're like it's kind of creepy when you think of it like that. So that made me chuckle.
Well, we also had more celebrities appearing, and one of the funniest moments of the entire show, Tom Holland, who's going to be playing young Nathan Drake in the upcoming Uncharted movie.
So it sounds like Origins maybe or maybe after he gets out of the orphanage or whatever. So in between that and before number one video game, kind of like in that gap where we don't have story as yet, if that makes sense. So there is potential to see also his brother, Nathan Drake's brother, possibly. I don't know.
Well, Tom Holland threw across to Nolan North, the person who voices the character which Tom Holland will be playing on the big screen.
Yes.
And how did Nolan North react to Tom Holland?
Oh, it was funny. So he was like grateful, and then in his usual sarcastic, quippy way, I was like, when people start Googling Nathan Drake and the result on IMDb says your name before mine, I'll only be extremely bitter. Something to that effect. Very funny stuff.
Well, they both technically presented the Best Multiplayer Award, and here it is. Favoritism by Geoff Keighley, no doubt. Among Us wins. Has anyone actually heard of this game, Among Us? Is anyone actually playing this game, or is this just Geoff Keighley up to his old tricks? No, not at all. Among Us is a sensation.
Yes, it
The only
is.
real game that may have competed with it this year is Fall Guys, due to they're both having a viral hit.
Yes.
But Among Us assassinated Fall Guys secretly near the air vent. Now, my hopes got up next because they said a supernatural horror franchise was coming. And I thought, yes, this is it. Silent Hill is back. No, it's the Evil Dead, the game. I like Evil Dead, but it's just not what I wanted. So I will not be playing that.
That sentence out of context is just very funny.
No.
I like the Evil Dead.
I'm not playing that ever because it hurt me. Ghosts and Goblins, speaking of complete remakes, that's coming back around again.
Yep, so many remakes.
And then we had another slew of awards given out.
Best indie game went to Hades. Best audio design, The Last of Us Part 2. Another one, cha-ching. Best role-playing game, Final Fantasy Remake
Excuse
7.
me, you sound sad.
Look, I don't begrudge it. Look, it was pretty and they added lots of stuff to it. Cloud looks good.
Oh,
But
she's blushing. You should see him in a dress.
we've discussed this before, but we were talking about good-looking video game characters, and I chose Cloud. So this topic has been discussed before. Let's move on. There were other role-playing games. I was sad that they didn't win.
You're just biased because it's a remake.
Yeah.
Listen to me. In 2006, The Departed won Best Picture, and that is a remake.
Would you get
of an
mad if
old
Mass
movie.
Effect won again?
Sure, do it. But it's a remaster. It's a difference. That's a difference. Best sim and strategy game was won by Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yes.
No surprise there, since you can fly across the entire planet.
And Melbourne was making news because of its monolith, that tiny, skinny building that glitched.
Maybe that was the precursor. Have you noticed how many monoliths are actually showing up around the world at the moment? It's creepy and potentially a bit of fun, but a little creepy.
Foreshadowing of something.
Best fighting game was awarded by the stars of Cobra Kai.
Yes, that was actually kind of fun seeing them,
Bicker.
go back and forth. If you're going to have celebrity guest stars, at least A, they sounded natural announcing and conversing, but B, they had fun with it. It wasn't wooden, it wasn't stiff.
Yes.
They also appreciated the art of and what they were announcing. It wasn't, I'm getting paid lots of money to read this.
And it was a
feel
relevant-
honoured that my presence is here, adding clout to this moment, you know?
Clout was given because it was relevant as well, because it was best fighting game they were presenting,
Exactly.
which went to Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. Mm-hmm. Then we saw that beautiful Microsoft Flight Simulator would be coming to the Xbox Game Pass.
Free flights, baby. If only that was true for real life.
Oh,
It's the closest to flying overseas we're going to get for a long time.
We saw a little snippet of Returnal, the time loop game. There seems to be a few time loop games coming, but I like time loops in general. I really do.
We got a trailer for the new game Road 96, which is by the makers of Valiant Hearts, which we love. So I'm wondering if that's going to be another emotional roller coaster.
Quite possibly. Valiant Hearts was the second most tragic game I ever played, behind The Last of Us Part 2.
Ooh.
No, maybe not, but it still hit the heartstrings for sure. And then one of our new favourite video game developers, Geoff Ferris,
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
showed up in his mocap suit.
Yep.
The designer, creator, writer of A Way Out, one of my favourite games in the past generation.
Yep.
I'll be honest, I'll say that. I had a great time playing that cooperative game, and he's working on a new cooperative game that will blow your mind, is what he said. It started. It's called It Takes Two.
It Takes Two.
You play as some puppet toy things. I was expecting another, like, A Way Out, a big crime drama, cooperative.
This one's much more cartoony, almost looked very kiddish. The art style reminded me kind of like Unraveled and Knack and like a lot of those kind of type games. But the premise of it is kind of intriguing.
Yep. I was
and fun.
excited for the concept of another cooperative game by this. Then I saw the art style and I'm like, oh, this is not what I'm here for. And then the jokes started to land because it's about a couple that are having some problems and they get turned into little toy puppet things and suddenly they have to escape and survive together and they're bickering the whole time.
Talking book with a mustache. And yeah, it was just amusing. So if you haven't seen the trailer for that, look it up on YouTube and have a watch. It may not be your cup of tea, but for us, we found it amusing. So yeah, something we're looking forward to. I'm worried though because it's a platforming game and it seems like the kind of thing we should play together because we are a married couple and so it's same in the game. But I suck at platforming games.
Us playing this game together will cause the bickering that this game will heal.
Should we live stream it?
Oh, phenomenal idea. Phenomenal. Big Reggie showed up next.
Yay!
He presented the Innovation in Accessibility Award, a new category, and one that was taken out by The Last of Us Part 2, which is absolutely no surprise.
Yes.
If you've played that, there are pages and pages and pages of accessibility options, from simplifying combat, changing colour schemes for people with colourblind issues, all sorts of possibilities in that game, and I may have used some of them to help me track down collectibles, but that's why it really won the award.
Making the trophies more accessible. But I do love that we're getting more of that kind of stuff, from helping people deal with phobias like in Grounded and making a scary spider just look like a weird potato
with eyes,
to helping those that are colorblind and stuff.
That's great.
So many little things that used to be so overlooked are now being integrated into every game, and the big titles are obviously going to lead the way and set the example to make sure that other developers put in that effort too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well earned that one.
We had Best Mobile Game, an award for that as well. Lots of big titles made their way to phones this year, and would you look at this? Among Us wins again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on Geoff Keighley. He's got his... it's just ridiculous. Favoritism.
Monster Hunter Rise, which is coming out on the Switch next year. We got a little bit of that. I think it's due in March. So up after that, Troy Baker was there, and he was actually there in the flesh on stage and got to share a little bit of a story of working on The Last of Us #1 and the director Neil Druckmann asking them what they wanted to be if they hadn't ended up being actors. And so he shared that he would have been a singer, which is kind of what he's doing on the side anyway. And Ashley said that she would have been an astronaut. And so it's kind of cool to see how Neil integrated a little facets of these actors into their characters because, spoiler alert, there's a bit of, obviously people I think have seen the singing and the guitar and stuff with Joel, but Ellie also has the fascination with space, and one of the best scenes in number 2 has to do with that.
Yep, and then we had a performance by Pearl Jam's Eddie Vedder, who played a song that he made famous, but then got more famous recently because it was featured in The Last of Us Part 2, so he was performing it as, it was very confusing.
Because Neil Druckmann would sing it to his daughter.
Yes.
And that was a nice little sweet thing too. So I guess the connection in the story for The Last of Us with having Joel teaching that to Ellie, it's kind of bringing that real life part of Neil into the story too. So a lot of little human moments that have made that game great have come from all the people that helped make it.
I'd probably rank that 3rd out of the 4 musical performances we had on this show. We had not Evil Dead, I was going to say Evil Dead again, but Evil West with the cowboy shooting zombies. And if you want shooting zombies, we've got plenty of that in video games.
There's always lots of shooting zombies.
A new Scarlet Nexus trailer was shown as well, which looked pretty cool. We like a bit of JRPG action.
Love a JRPG.
Even if it is a little action-based. And then a new Among Us map was revealed, just because we want to get all the exclusives going on at the Game Awards. And
for sure.
That would not have made the cut unless Geoff Keighley's face was in that game. It's going to launch early 2021 on an airship.
Yes.
Content Creator of the Year was given to Valkyrae, the American YouTuber. And, then things got weird because Fortnite made a big announcement that the Master Chief from Halo is going to be flossing his way into Fortnite, and that's not even the weirdest part of this presentation.
Yep, red versus blue. I'm a little disappointed that they didn't get Caboose as part of that announcement, but it was still really fun nonetheless to have that interaction there. And I believe Blood Gulch is going to be added as a map, so that's kind of fun.
So, Smash Brothers has, Sephiroth, Mario, Solid Snake, Sonic, an all-star cast. But now Fortnite has Kratos, Master Chief. We're going to get Michonne and Daryl from The Walking Dead. That's just, things are getting weird. They're
taking up the challenge of who having the most, crossover. And they're not... Where Smash Bros. Has always said that it's only video game characters that can kind of be in that.
Yep.
But Fortnite has said, you know what, if you're pop culture, if people want it, I think if people demanded Geoff Keighley, guess who would be in Fortnite?
Oh, don't tell me. Game of the Year 2021 is going to be Fortnite if Geoff Keighley's end up in that. We had an awesome little trailer showing all the new things coming to the Xbox Game Pass. There was far too many to list, but the entire Yakuza series, except for Like a Dragon, will be added. We got the Medium, which is technically not rated in Australia just yet. It was refused classification, I think, due to handing in paperwork incorrectly. Hopefully that comes out, because that's basically the only Silent Hill-style game I'll be getting anytime soon. Lots of cool stuff there. And then, of course, a Battle Royale spin-off of Just Cause on mobile devices.
Woo!
That's gonna... Yeah.
You sound so thrilled
felt
about
like
that.
I just threw it. I got hot and sick halfway through that statement. League of Legends is getting a single-player game, Ruined King. That's going to be an interesting twist on something that has become very popular in multiplayer senses. And then...
we had the breathtaking Keanu Reeves. His hair was shorter, though, this time.
He didn't look as handsome with the short hair.
He was there to present the award for Best Game Direction. And not a surprise here, The Last of Us Part 2 taking another, I want to say gong, but it's not really a gong.
Oh, we've been over this.
Statue.
We did this last year, talking about taking the gong. It is the term.
Yes.
I was wrong. In the past 365 days, I have researched in more detail because I thought I could win that argument. The Last of Us Part 2, Best Game Direction. Now, controversy, once again.
Mm-hmm.
Does that include being the director of the entire project or just the creative director of the project? Because people were upset that this game won when the company had to go into crunch mode to get the game out on time. Is that the director's fault? I don't know.
That's, you know what, I don't know enough about what goes on behind the scenes to say, and I don't think many of us really do, unless you were working for them and stuff. But I would argue that even people that work as a developer might only see or understand what they're working on, that part of what they're working on and how it affects them. There are a lot of moving parts and cogs, so the buck has to stop somewhere, though. And usually director or producer tends to be kind of one of those big titles that means that good or bad, blame falls on them.
Yep. Well, if you look at it purely from the creative standpoint, I think there's no doubt that The Last of Us Part 2 was a phenomenally directed game. Everything from the timing of the camera cuts in the cutscenes, the angles, everything like that, chosen perfection. So if we just go off that, we'll make it less controversial. We'll just say it's off that.
We can change what it's about if it was different. We'll just say it wasn't that.
The end is almost here. We had one final trailer announced, revealed, that Jem already knew about before the whole Games Award was watched by us somehow.
Well, it may have been on one of my feeds. I didn't see any spoilers for actual award winners, right? But I did see spoilers for this, that a new Mass Effect is in the works and it's not a sequel to Andromeda. Part of me wishes that they would take a chance on fixing that and continuing that story because I feel like it is worth it.
How do you know it's not?
But, well, the trailer that they showed very much hinted at being back in the Milky Way galaxy. You see the N7, like broken bits of armor that had been covered in snow, and we see very clearly Liara Tassoni.
Doesn't prove it. That could have been PB who had some makeup remover.
So not PB. There's a lot of debate about when exactly it's set, if it's like immediately after this and people are just scattered and stranded on different worlds after the mass relay explosions, or if it's, a couple hundred years later, because Liara, Asari can live for millennia, and she was quite young for Asari. She's only a couple hundred years old when you play the game, so she could be, significantly older, and all the people that you're used to playing with might be well and truly gone. And part of me would, I don't know.
That's more depressing than The Last of Us Part 2.
You know what? It does. If they're going to go after Mass Effect and include people that were in the original trilogy, I feel like it would hurt if so many of the others were gone because of, well, they could have died in the war too. But...
Listen to her. Listen to the emotion of a 46-second trailer. My goodness. At some point in this presentation, I must have missed when this was because I forgot to add it in. The Mario compilation by the London Philharmonic Orchestra presented by, what was his name? Christopher Nolan. Again, weird combination.
Very weird combination. Celebrating Mario's 35th anniversary. It's always lovely hearing an orchestra play video game music because one of the things I quite enjoy. We have the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra do special shows usually annually here in Melbourne, and they've done things like Final Fantasy and Disney special concerts and stuff. But
Final Fantasy and Disney, they should combine those into a franchise somewhere. They'll make millions. The reason why I brought that up is because the London Philharmonic Orchestra also did a lovely little compilation for the nominees of the Game of the Year award, and that was pretty cool to hear all those familiar themes. A lot of the games I've played.
They do it every year where they have, they usually open with the show with that, where they go and play the theme from each Game of the Year nominated score. And yeah, it was. I think that was one of the things that was a little sad. They probably could have opened with it this year, but they chose to close with it instead.
Yep. So bouncing through the nominees, we had awesome music from this orchestra. Final Fantasy VII Remake. We had Doom Eternal. Big deep guitar riffs. Awesome. Hades again. Fast music. Awesome. Tough. Then Animal Crossing. Bit of a change in tune.
The happiest music, and everyone was suddenly happy with them. How could you not be? How could you not be?
Ghost of Tsushima as well. Mm-hmm. And the winner of the Game of the Year award for 2020 at the Game Awards. And since it's called the Game Awards, it's really the only one that's important, apparently. The Last of Us Part 2.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, this is one of those things I'm like, I would have been shocked if it hadn't won. Obviously, the fan vote, I was also very like, yep, of course that's what people voted for. Because Ghost of Tsushima was wonderful and it was nominated. It would have been a close race, I think, between the two. But when you've got industry people voting who can remove themselves from the emotion of getting caught up in a story that they have a personal stake in, which fans will get upset about, they will see more the technical side and appreciate all the work that's gone into it and vote based more on that. So for me, like, that was a very logical and very predictable winner and not undeserved. It is a technologically beautiful game. It is devastating on a lot of fronts. And the fact that it can evoke such a strong reaction on both fronts, to me says that that's still good storytelling. Just because you don't like the story doesn't mean it's not powerful.
Yeah, we've harped on this a few times over the course of this podcast. There's going to be a lot of fans that are not happy that this won. I'm just glad it wasn't Among Us with Geoff Keighley influence flaunted once again. But we'll have to wait and see what gets the gaming lovers nod in the Golden Smoochie department in our next episode. It's our Game of the Year awards coming up. Will we agree with either the fan populace vote or the Game Awards 2020 Game of the Year with The Last of Us Part 2? We'll have to wait and see. But it is interesting that trend did continue. Last of Us Part 2 won Best Action Adventure, and it won Game of the Year. There is a pattern.
Absolutely. We'll have to wait and see if that continues next year, I guess. So don't bother making anything but action adventure if you want to win Game of the Year.
Don't even bother. Who wants an RPG in 2021? Not us.
Yes, us.
No, we do. We definitely do.
All the RPGs, please. We'll be back with our future gaming goals after this.
Share the love. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegaminglovers.
Wait, we need to go back to the start and do gaming goals again because I forgot a game that I played this week, and technically you did too.
Oh, no.
We did more Jackbox.
Oh, we did.
And we got to play in person, not on Zoom. Oh, it's so much better in person. No offense. I mean, Zoom has been very helpful, and so have so many other, like, video chat programs. They've kept us sane throughout intense lockdowns. But there are certain games that are just so much better and easier to play when you're actually in the same room as the people.
Blather Round is quickly becoming one of my favourite party games, full stop.
It's hard though, right?
Oh,
we stunk, to be kind of honest with you guys. We really stunk at it. But we still had a lot of fun, regardless of the fact that we kept not getting it right.
I legitimately don't think I've heard the word stunk in years. I'm a fan. Add it to my lexicon right now.
Fair enough. Now let's go to future gaming goals. And Mr., you need to maybe be more focused. Let's put some like a horse. Let's put some blinders on you.
It's probably
away
a
from
wise choice.
all the free things that you can download from Game Pass. I know it's tempting. I know it's very distracting. And you're like, look at all the games. All the shiny games. Stop it.
Okay.
Focus.
Yes, I'm focused.
Finish some games, damn it. So that's my pep talk for you.
You sound like you have a personal stake in this matter. Are there going to be more games coming my way sometime in the next few weeks?
I believe, in the next fortnight? Yes, there will be.
Well, let me say this. I am more than halfway through Spider-Man Miles Morales, a relatively shorter version of an open world game. So I'm going to focus my attention on young Miles and beat that game this fortnight. Watch me go.
Nice.
And I might play some Demon Souls as well.
That's acceptable.
No, that'll do. I was going to say another one, but I'll leave it at that. Demon Souls, I just want to beat, we'll say, two bosses. That'll be my goal for that. So Miles Morales, beat the main story. Not 100%. Not 100%. It's not necessary. Just beat the game. Mm-hmm. Then I can snap the disc in half, never play it again.
When a game comes along,
you must beat it. What about yourself? Are you going to play anything more than the visual drug trip that is Tetris Effect Connected?
Well, I've been enjoying it because I can play it in short bursts, which is what I've only really had time for the most part. Mm-hmm. And if I've been too tired to really get stuck into what are considerably chunkier games, it's been kind of ideal. So I'm not going to take that off the table, but maybe I will try to play it less. I want to focus on trying to get more story done in Persona 5 Royal, because I would like to finish that before the new Persona game comes out. Hopefully.
I think that comes out the week of your birthday in February. So you got a few months, but my goodness, with the game the size of Persona 5 Royal, those few months will vanish if you are not vigilant.
Someone want to babysit my son.
For 2.5 months.
It won't take me that
Boarding school.
long.
Do you accept 6-month-olds?
No, I would miss him. No.
What about a kennel? God, I better stop.
You're in so trouble. And the other game that I will play as well is Greedfall on Xbox.
Okay.
So that way I've got a few different consoles. So depending on what you are playing, I can go to a different room and play. And that way you have access to what you want to do and everyone's happy.
Everyone's happy.
Everybody happy.
Provided the baby's happy.
Baby is asleep, everybody very happy.
All right, this has been a marathon episode. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for joining us on the wonderful journey through the 2020 Game Awards.
We'll try to be much more succinct next episode.
Trust me, our smoochies will not take 4.5 hours to get through.
I better not. I don't want to edit that. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time.
We stunk! Chowski!
Sayonara.
Thanks for listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. For more episodes or to watch some live stream gaming, visit thegaminglovers.com.